Many times it's difficult to continue. It's difficult to be constant. It's difficult to stay motivated and find that inspiration that one day came to us and allowed us to do what began to fill our soul and heart. Many times we give up without even beginning. Many times it's difficult to go from the idea to the action. Many times we are only left with what could have been and was not. Welcome to another episode of Cliches Reinvented, reinventing life's cliches. A space where I'm going to share information, thoughts, and insights to help us both live a life in consciousness. These are reflections that have helped me with my personal growth and to live happier and more conscious. This is why now I want to share them with you. I want to thank you for being here today and taking the time to listen to this podcast while you're walking, in your car, walking your dog, cooking, on the way to work, to study, whatever. Thank you for being here with me and with yourself. I was taking a while to get my next episode of cliches out, and I didn't really know why. I felt uninspired, lazy. Like, I don't know, I just said I'm not inspired enough to do it or made any excuse up. It wasn't that I hadn't had time, because I have had time. It's just that my thoughts didn't let me go from the idea to the actions. These days, I was reading the book Many Lives, Many Masters by the author Brian Weiss or Brian Weiss. In one part, he talked about how we expect a reward for everything. As if we do not become millionaires the next day, then it is no longer worth it, whatever that we're doing. I connected this idea with what it is said about my generation, the Crystal generation and Generation C. In a video from Simon Sinek, he said that those of these generations are used to obtaining immediate results, that we're used to everything being easy and it is giving to us the way we want it. However, we forget that in reality the world does not work like that. The internet, social networks, and the excess of information that surrounds us can become a factor that makes us think that everything must always be perfect, that everything happens immediately and easily, that if something does not go well the first time, then it is not for us, or we're just not meant for it and we just give up. It happens to me personally, and due to the type of content I follow on Instagram, my head has been filled with pure success stories, which sounds like a good thing since I follow pure motivational, inspiring content, and even though it has helped me a lot to focus on the good things in life and not on envy or depression, at the same time, it was a double edged sword. Since in my subconscious, there remained that idea of what success looked like and how my life had to look like for it to be truly worthwhile. And well, the fact that in some aspects my life still didn't look like that, I was self sabotaging myself. Yeah, I was self sabotaging me. In fact, until this moment, I am realizing this, even though I remind myself every day of how grateful I am for my life and for of what I've achieved so far. Unconsciously, I was stopping pursuing my dreams because my life at this moment didn't look like that ideal life that I wanted for the future. In addition to this immediate and ideal gratification that we humans being expect, the book talks about how we have all come with a purpose, and many of us do not follow it because of the ego's desire to be rewarded and immediately in the way we believe we should be, without realizing that following our purpose we will be rewarded by the universe itself, but in the way it knows is best for us, not how we believe it should be. This left me thinking a lot about my behavior towards the podcast and the procrastination attitude I've taken in the last year. I thought, A thought came into my head that changed everything, which is the reason why I'm here today. I was lost, just very, very lost. It happens that you start doing something you like, something that has a very good future, people like it, they see a future too, they ask you for more, you ask yourself for more. However, at the same time, you do not feel able to give more than what you're already giving. You feel as if you were suffocating, and in the end, you end up doing nothing. In this way, my head began to play with me due to the lack of tools and knowledge to be able to cope with this situation. Then, what happens is that you end up doing nothing, since a huge snowball of your own expectations and expectations of others is created in your mind and is coming directly to you if you continue doing what you have been doing with a world of new responsibilities and tasks, which they're only on your head because they do not exist yet. Nothing has literally happened yet. However, you fear them, either due to the lack of experience, ignorance, or immaturity, and you just move to the side so that it does not catch you. And it ends up happening again, nothing. End of the story. This is how I understand what happened to me. I was afraid to continue. I did not feel capable of facing so much of what was supposedly in my head coming immediately with the continuation of the podcast. I know that there are people my age and even younger doing what I wanted to do with the podcast, with my social media, and so on. But I don't know, I just didn't felt ready to continue with the responsibilities and tasks that came behind doing what I like and what makes me happy. I start to think a lot about what was coming as a reward for helping a lot of people and becoming known in the world of social media, and I was just really scared. I didn't feel prepared. So yeah, however, I continued and continued to fill my notes with more and more ideas to discuss on my podcast. In fact, I wrote two drafts for a next episode but never finished them. I also planned a podcast with my mother for a long time because I feel like we have so many things to share with the world, but because of this fear, I didn't push myself to do it. This book completely changed my perspective on keeping on writing with my podcast for my podcast. It made me realize the real why behind writing and sharing my thoughts with the world. The reality is that it just makes me feel alive. It makes me feel me, makes me feel myself, makes me feel happy, makes me feel that I'm in my zone, that I'm doing what I came to do in this world. And if one person or many listens to it, if one person or many listens to it, well, it like just doesn't really matter, because even though no one listens to it, I want just to continue doing it all my life because it is what I have discovered that fills me the most, that fills my soul, that fills me with peace, that brings me back to my center. It is what I most enjoy doing. It has become over time an activity just like eating, which I enjoy a lot, always, whether alone or in company, which is also a need that I enjoy, which is part of me, which of my being and of my existence. And so with the podcast, many may listen to it or no one, as I said before. However, I will continue to do it because it is a need in my life. It is that need to let go of my thoughts, get them out of my head and lift them to the world. Lift them out there, the thoughts and reflections, because just as they make me feel better, they can make one more little person in this huge world feel better too. Someone who feels identified. At one point, I realized that I was allowing this activity that I enjoyed so much begin to feel my ego more than my heart. At this moment, I discovered the problem. I was letting myself be carried away by external things, greed, the desire for more, when in reality, what I had already been doing was enough for my heart and for my soul. And I know that the right time will come when it is pertinent to do more. However, for now, this is what it is. I know that I have the ability to give more and do more with the podcast. However, this will come with time. The fact that this advancing step is not happening yet does not mean that I should stop, but on the opposite, one must be constant and persistent. This is where I realize that for many people, and I include myself, perseverance becomes a great challenge, often difficult to overcome. I feel like this has not only happened to me, but to many of us who find what we like, but slowly begin to allow greed, avarice, and lack of patience to cloud our thoughts and the initial perspective of things. We begin to drift from the present and anticipate the future, a future for which we stop working. We do not realize that the only way to achieve our dreams is to start here and now with what we have, with what we're able to give and to do. By losing this perspective, we get lost along the way. We can even lose ourselves. We distance ourselves from the initial why of what we do. When we did what we liked without any type of pressure or greed, we only did it because it made us feel good. And over time, we may have found a deeper meaning in it. It is learning to integrate into our mind and our life that detachment from the result we want, focusing much more on the process, on doing things because they make us feel good, they make us feel happy. Period. Not because of the recognition that comes with them, or for money, or for the fame, or whatever. All this comes as a plus, but in the end, it is not what truly fills our soul and heart. Maybe this period of time in which I did not write for the podcast has brought me to this moment where I'm realizing that in the end, doing things out of greed and avarice, the only thing they do is fill our egos, but not our hearts. Often remembering the reason why for the things we do will always be essential to stay focused, not to get lost along the way, not to lose the consistency and perseverance, which are the essential ingredients that bring us closer and closer to achieving our goals. Always remember it. In the best of cases, every day, if it's possible. Remember why you do what you're doing. Only each person has that answer within themselves. And the key is to search there, inside of us, inside of you, to find. Through prayer, meditation, writing, intuition, or contemplation, we can reach the answer. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast, for hearing till the end. I'm really glad that you're here and that you dedicated this time to yourself and to improve our lives and to be more conscious. Love you. See you.